Right in the middle of my sister's wedding, in front of 200 people, they announced a gift on my behalf. The penthouse I bought with 10 years of sleepless nights. I said one word. No. Crack. The slap exploded through the mic. My earring spun and pinged across the marble. The live light blinked red. The whole room held its breath. If kindness is being used as a pretext to take, you need this story. How I turned a public humiliation into evidence, turned a mic from a lever of coercion into a loudspeaker for boundaries, and triggered Clause 15.3 so law, capital, and truth could walk into the ballroom. This isn't revenge. It's a field manual for saying no, short, clear, enough, amid a crowd that wants your silence. If you've been announced for, called selfish for protecting what's yours, stay. We'll take back the right to narrate from the very mics that tried to steal it. I'm Sophia, 32, Vice President of Market Development at an investment firm. For 10 years, I lived in airports at midnight and closed deals that stretched across quarters. My reward was a ring of keys, the penthouse I bought with my own money. But to my family, I'm not a whole person, just a walking ATM, withdraw on demand, quietly, unconditionally. On my sister's wedding morning, the ballroom glittered with white roses and warm gold, 200 guests, crystal chiming. My mother looked me up and down. You're dressed like a board meeting. My father murmured, family first. Familiar lines that compress achievement into a difficult personality. I smiled, as always, because in this house, composure is a survival policy. Then I heard it. In a corner, my parents leaned in. Later, we'll announce the big gift. Sophia is giving the penthouse to the bride. I was only a few steps away. My stomach dropped like an elevator skipping a floor. No one asked me, no agreement, just a choreography of mic, applause, and eyes, a net to cinch my autonomy. I thought of that home, glass walls opening to the skyline, nights of instant noodles while editing the last clause of an 8-figure contract. I thought of every can you transfer the deposit, upgrade the service, cover the dress, all for the family's face. I paid, then kept quiet. But a home isn't a prop for face saving. It's the final line between me and unending demands. Spoon on crystal. My father took the stage. It is our honor. And tonight, Sophia is generously gifting her city penthouse to the newlyweds. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. My mother beamed as if I'd been crowned for moral virtue. A few guests teared up. Beautiful, moving, and completely wrong. It wasn't a gift. It was seizure. A pre-authorization on my dignity via social pressure, stamping me ungrateful if I dared say no. They know crowd effects. They know I hate a scene. They weaponize my kindness, turning it into compliance. For years, I was told to sit still so everything stays pleasant. Tonight, they wanted my signature in blank, on stage, to surrender what I spent my youth earning. I looked around, partners, clients, colleagues, people who respect competence. If I smiled and nodded, I'd validate a dangerous story. Successful women exist to fill other people's gaps, that I'm a wallet with legs, that family is a master key to my safe. Injustice is often quiet, lace dresses, soft music, sweet toasts. But injustice is still injustice, even wrapped in silk. I inhaled, feeling the weight of the keys in my pocket. Each one was a late night. An underestimation survived, a deal I carried home. No one gets to pick up a mic and decide my address, my sweat, or my boundaries for me. If you've ever been invited to sacrifice in the name of kinship, remember, respect is non-negotiable. Protecting your assets, time, and dignity isn't selfish. It's justice for your own life. Silence eventually becomes complicity. Tonight, I chose to speak. I stepped forward into the lights. Calm, even voice. That's my property, and I'm not giving it away. Not to hurt anyone, but to stitch closed a tear in fairness, ripped open in a beautiful room. I am Sophia. a person, not an ATM. And from this moment, my boundaries are locked. 3 taps on crystal, the band dimmed, a warm spotlight pooled center floor. My father stepped up, mic in hand, smile rehearsed. Before dinner continues, he said, we have a special gift for the bride. A soft chorus of O's, cameras clicked like miniature fireworks. I felt my chair shrink beneath me. The words special gift skimmed my neck like a cold draft. From the head table, my mother touched his elbow, the cue. He lifted his head. Because family comes first, because we always live for each other, the bride's sister, Sophia, has generously gifted her city penthouse to start their married life. He spoke slowly, pressing on generously. Penthouse, start. The room burst into applause. Some guests cried. Far back, a phone stood upright. Live streaming. This wasn't an offer. It was a verdict broadcast on loudspeakers, planting me in the defendant's chair before 200 witnesses, where refusal equals ingrate. They'd planned everything. Mic, music, lighting, group feeling. They know how a woman's social virtue gets measured, by how much she yields, gives, covers, stays quiet. They turned kinship into a lever to confiscate the thing I'd spent my youth for. Partners at table 8, loyal clients at table 12, a local stringer with a leather-strapped old camera. Whispers swam through the air. Oh my God, how noble. I wish our family was like that. She must be so rich, pretty and kind. Kind. It turned bitter on my tongue. Kindness isn't a moral crowbar to pry open someone's safe in public. Come up here, sweetheart, my father beckoned. Applause stretched like a conveyor belt, moving me toward the stage. I rose, smiles poised to become censure if my answer deviated from the pre-written script. At the head table, my mother lifted a pearl-white envelope, miming a ceremonial handoff. The keys, her eyes signaled. Just a small gesture, dear. A small gesture, the same phrase that shadowed me for years. Just a quick transfer, just one weekend, just sign this one deal in your name. Every just one was a thin slice off my line. Tonight they wanted the final slice, my home. I remembered Narita red-eye layovers, Tokyo hours, Singapore emails, risk clauses in red, the first sunlight ricocheting off the glass wall when I understood that freedom looks like light I paid for. My father lowered his voice like a blessing. Sophia has always put family first. My mother added, she's willing. The word willing thudded like a stone. In their dictionary, willing means silent under pressure. I breathed. My heartbeat slowed as if I'd entered a boardroom. This wasn't a wedding anymore. It was a vote on my autonomy. I felt every eye, every lens. The red live dots still blinked at table 6. If I bowed, tomorrow's headline would read, Model Sister Gifts Penthouse. If I stood tall, Selfish Sister Ruins Wedding. Either way, their script steals my story, so I would write it. I stepped to the edge, took the mic from my father with steady hands. The whispers cut out. Faces, glasses, expectations hung in the air. First, thank you for celebrating my sister, I said. But about the so-called gift that was announced on my behalf. I paused, letting announced on my behalf reach every ear. That is my property. And I will not hand it to anyone because of pressure or sugar-coated morality. No clapping, no laughter. The room tilted between the old script and the new truth. I faced the lights. Respect is non-negotiable, I said, and set the mic down. No need to shout. Silence carried the rest of the score. From that beat on, the trap began to lose power. The air changed color right after my I will not. The band's intro died like someone pulled the plug. A cough, a chair scrape, then a hush racing over 200 people like cold current. My father still stood there, hand on the mic's neck, ceremonial smile cracked. Don't be selfish on your sister's day, he said loud enough for all tables. My mother leaned in, voice sugared. Just a small gesture, Sophia. Family is for sharing. I met their eyes steady. Sharing isn't seizing, and consent cannot be announced for me. A still, clean break of quiet. At table 6, the red live dot kept blinking. Ironic. Someone had turned moral coercion into live content for the entire internet. My mother set down her glass and descended with the stride of a seasoned hostess. She stopped in front of me, mic in hand, eyes bright with that teachable family moment shine. Don't embarrass us. Your sister needs a start. You have more than you need. I didn't step back. I have boundaries, I said, each word low and clear. A restless rustle swept the room. Someone shushed for civility. A man clutched his pearls, literally. Another began, well, men have always... I lifted a hand. Excuse me, this is my asset, bought with my labor. No one signs for me. Then, too fast for the memory, too loud for the room, my mother swung, crack. The sound shattered through the mic. My cheek burned. The earring I'd bought to celebrate an Asia deal popped free, arcing in a bright loop before ting, marble. 200 people gasped at once. Cameras froze, but the live stream did not. I didn't cry, didn't shout. I stood still and let silence reveal the blow. Then I walked heel by heel, picked up the earring, clipped it on, smoothed my dress. Each step a statement. Respect is non-negotiable. When I looked up, 3 truths locked into place. 1, my mother was stunned by her own hand. 2, my father had gone pale, not just for me, but for all the phones held high. 3, on a tiny corner of a screen, 1.2K watching, jumped to 5.8K, then 9.3K. I pulled my phone, not to hide, but to act. A pre-written text waited in drafts, something I call the trigger button, green light. I sent it to Marcus, my boss, mentor, the one who insisted on clause 15.3 in my executive comp package. If there's coercion to transfer an executive's asset under family social pressure, the company has a duty and right of first intervention to protect the executive and the asset. I put the phone away. My mother hissed, "You will apologize now." I glanced at the mic, her scepter, undone by the same hand that swung it. "I will not apologize for self-protection," I said. "And I'm sure you don't want to add more commentary to the live stream." A new ripple moved through the room. At the business tables, someone murmured, "Boardroom poise." I heard VP, APAC, deal. Identity fragments my family kept smearing suddenly reassembled because of the slap. My father edged closer, low voice. "Stop, Sophia. We'll talk later." I shook my head. We had a chance to talk before when it was private. I raised my voice a notch. Any further coercion, emotional, social, or physical, will be handled under the clause. I didn't say the number. The right people already knew. The live dot blinked again. A phone pinged, trending. Dawn light flashed in my mind across my own glass wall, light I'd paid for. "I'm not choosing drama," I said softly. "I'm choosing justice." I set my glass down and stepped out of the glow. The ballroom doors opened. Cool air flowed in. My phone buzzed, a single message from Marcus. Inside the building, 15.3 activated, 30 minutes. I smiled, barely. The stage had shifted. From here on, no more sugar-coated morality at the pen. Principle and law would speak. The doors opened again. Not a server, not a late guest. Marcus Chen entered, suit razor cut, 2 lawyers behind him with black briefcases. No fanfare, silence stepped aside. The MC, startled, offered the mic. Marcus nodded. "Thank you." His voice was the same timbre that settles billion-dollar meetings. "Sorry to interrupt. I'm Marcus Chen. Some of you know me from the business community. I need to clarify something because it stopped being private the moment it went live." A tide of whispers. A few phones lowered. He continued, "First, Sophia isn't the generous sister you just heard about. She is our VP of APAC Market Development, the lead on deals some of you here benefit from. Her competence is a fact, not a family story. He paused, scanning the head table. Second, I'm a strategic investor holding 40% of Mr. Richards' company, father of the bride. So public behavior that risks governance or reputation isn't a family matter. It affects shareholders, partners, and employees. Pressure shifted in the room. My father froze mid-word. My mother's knuckles whitened on the mic. Marcus lifted a document. Third, under Clause 15.3 in Sophia's executive comp agreement, a clause I proposed and the board approved, if there's evidence of coercion to transfer an executive's asset under family social pressure, the company must 1. Freeze any related transaction. 2. Record evidence, including live streams and witness statements. 3. Protect the executive's legal and physical safety. 4. Notify relevant stakeholders of governance risk. He lowered the file, slower. Effective now, Sophia's penthouse is under protective status. Any consent obtained under crowd pressure is invalid. Further attempts, via sentiment, morality, or threats, will be escalated as legal matters. A fork clinked, bright, brittle. Marcus turned to my parents. Mr. Richard, Ms. Carroll, tonight before 200 people, you created a harmful precedent, recasting a wedding gift as a mic-staged taking. Let me be plain. You have 48 hours to issue a public apology to Sophia, acknowledging her achievements, her property rights, and a commitment not to repeat this. Otherwise, I will exercise shareholder rights, convene a special board meeting, demand a special audit for ethical and governance risk, suspend pending capital commitments for your expansion. You're threatening my family, my mother snapped. No, ma'am, Marcus said evenly. I'm describing consequences. A threat is asking a woman to hand over her home on Livestream, then slapping her when she refuses. At the business tables, a few heads nodded, slow, deliberate. The whisper tone shifted. My father's hand shook. Can we speak privately? We had that chance, Marcus answered. The moment you raised the mic, you made it public. I have obligations to shareholders, employees, partners, and to Sophia. He turned softly to me, loud enough for the mic. You okay? I am, I said. My cheeks still burned, my heartbeat was steady. Around us, the eyes that had pressed in now backed off. Some lowered their phones. Young women watched with something I recognized. Relief. Marcus closed, clipped and clear. You're all witnesses. I recommend ending the live stream. The evidence is sufficient. He returned the mic to the MC, wishing the couple happiness, as long as it doesn't stand on someone else's taking. Applause came ragged, then spread like a late wave. No music, no need. The script changed hands. The mic, once a weapon, became a loudspeaker for law, capital, and truth. In that softer light, I knew a boundary had just been rewritten, signed by a room that finally woke up. When Marcus stepped down, the room stayed musicless. This silence wasn't to squeeze me. It sounded like metal cooling after a forge. The MC asked to end the stream. A few phones lowered, but there's no undo on social media. The clip had already left the building. I slipped along the edge of the ballroom toward the doors. Hallway air soothed my warm cheek. My phone pulsed, messages cresting like waves. From partner A, we watch the stream. We stand with you. No one gets to announce for you. From client B, regretfully, the public assault forces us to reassess our relationship with Mr. Richards' company. From my assistant, #Respect Sophia is trending. Women leaders are resharing. Business consequences updated in real time. 3 pre-signing meetings canceled at my father's firm. 2 investors called asking, what's happening with internal governance? One party, a few minutes on a mic, and the family honor they used as a shield turned into a systemic risk. A text from my father, don't make this bigger, come back to the table. Those 3 words, don't make it big, as if the cameras, mic and slap hadn't already exploded it beyond any room. I replied, I tried to talk before. Now everything follows process. My mother didn't text. She posted a long status about filial piety and tagged relatives. The comments surprisingly didn't side with the one holding the mic. They sided with the one denied it. Filial piety isn't a master key after a slap amplified through a sound system. Women I didn't know DM'd me. Thank you for saying no. I wish I'd said it earlier. I got home in 45 minutes, exactly what I'd told Marcus. The concierge nodded the way people salute a marathoner crossing a line. I changed, iced my cheek, sat by the glass. The city glowed, unbothered. Marcus called, "Activation is filed. Legal log the evidence. The board's been notified. We'll convene if there's no public apology in 48 hours. Over the next 2 days, public opinion split but trended one way. The business community leaned into principle. Think pieces compared the soft app of filial piety versus the operating system of the rule of law. Finance briefs noted my father's stock dip on rumors of pulled expansion capital. I didn't cheer. This wasn't payback, it was consequence. At hour 47, an official statement hit his company's channels. We apologize to Mr. Sophia, acknowledge her property rights, commit not to repeat. Dry, lawyerly, sufficient. Something unclenched inside me, like a muscle long cramped. That night, I changed the locks, added a do not admit list at building security, not to build a fortress, but to make boundaries into procedure, like any risk control at work. Monday, I walked into the office. The board wanted to talk, not about drama, about my handling. Calm, lawful, refusing to bury individual rights under family. Resolution, a promotion and broader scope. I accepted and signed a donation to a women's shelter for survivors of family violence. A line between a personal story and public infrastructure. My sister's text came late. "You ruined my wedding." I replied, "I refuse to be sacrificed." Different things. Typing dots, then nothing. That night I posted a short manifesto. Boundaries don't oppose kinship, they protect it from becoming seizure. Financial autonomy isn't a sin, it's the base for voluntary giving. Respect is non-negotiable, in boardrooms and at banquet tables. No crescendo, just clarity, and clarity is often strongest. I shut my laptop. City light poured in. Same light, new meaning. My home wasn't a trophy of success anymore. It was proof that I'd learned to say no in time. From here on, I hold the mic. Tuesday morning, sun drew a gold line over the towers. The red on my cheek had faded to warmth, a reminder that some wounds need time and order. Coffee in hand, I opened a velvet box. The earrings. One had skated across marble that night. Now both sat still, catching breath light. I clipped them on like reclaiming the ownership of my voice. A buzz. The transfer to the women's shelter had cleared. The receipt hit my inbox. That afternoon, the board approved Jakarta. I signed without a tremor, not because I'd won, but because a standard now stood. No deal, no party gets to demand a woman's autonomy as the price of admission. My mother stayed silent with me, loud online. She wrote about filial piety and a daughter hardened by corporate life. Comments didn't favor the mic holder. They favored the one who'd been muted. My father sent a short email, the command tone gone. "I'm in therapy. I'm sorry I didn't see you." I read, didn't reply. Forgiveness needs fuel, often changed behavior, not a fire drill apology. That evening, my team had a small pasta dinner, no speeches. One colleague said, "Sophia, my little sister texted. She helped me press the no button." I smiled. That's quiet justice. No fireworks, just contagious courage. Back home, I pinned a note by the door. Boundary protocol, 4 steps, for me and anyone who needs it. 1. Spot the trap. If a gift is announced for you, it isn't generosity, it's taking. 2. Mute the noise. Breathe, speak short, clear enough. Don't debate morality on someone else's stage. 3. Activate protection, allies, clauses, evidence. Law is a wall, not a sword. 4. Change the venue. From shame if you refuse to respect is non-negotiable. I added a line. Kindness equal consent plus respect for boundaries. Missing either, it isn't kindness. Late, I replayed the clip, not to punish myself, but to memorize the anatomy of an ambush. Spoon taps, sugared words, lights, crowd leverage. I paused on my no. A basic frame. A woman who doesn't need to shout, just redefine. City light kept pouring in. This home used to be a relic of effort. Now it's a certificate that when a woman knows her worth, coerced mics become extra decor. I emptied my keys into the ceramic bowl, softly, like closing a chapter. If someone sugars the word family over a blade tomorrow, I have a protocol on my wall, allies on my phone, a clause in my files, and most of all, a voice in my chest. Remember, justice isn't loud. It walks in step with truth, its heels steady across a newly sober ballroom. 3 days later, an email from my father, plain, no flourish. He proposed a meeting with a mediator. No more come home and talk. No more don't make it big. For the first time, he used the language of responsibility. I agreed, on record, with minutes. No live stream, no mic, no audience. A quiet cafe. He arrived early, placed his phone in the fabric box the mediator offered, a sign we would be undisturbed. I've read the documents, he began. There's a lot I need to relearn. I didn't soothe, I specified. I'm here to establish a respect mechanism, not to make anyone feel better. The mediator slid him my respect agreement. 1. No announcing for me. Any gift, decision, or statement about me is valid only with my written consent. 2. No touching. Any physical violation equals indefinite no contact, plus legal action. 3. No crowd leverage. Don't use relatives, ceremony, or honor to create moral pressure. 4. No ask assign guilt. Requests for financial help must use formal channels. No filial strings. 5. Clear consequences. Violate equals cut channels, plus document, plus legal when needed. He read slowly and signed. Ink sank like a new line. He offered a direct, off-mic, apology when I'm ready. I'll need time and repeated behavior, I said. He nodded, no debate. Progress. My mother didn't come. She sent a long essay on filial piety to the mediator. I replied with one line. Filial duty is not the privilege to take. With respect, filial piety happens naturally. Then I closed the topic. At work, I made Clause 15.3 the default in exec packages and launched Boundary Literacy 101, spotting mic traps, neutralizing crowd pressure, techniques for short clear enough NOs, and evidence logging. Legal added an anti-familial coercion clause to our ethics handbook. It's beyond one person now. It's infrastructure. That afternoon, a partner in Japan texted. We updated our event rules. Ban all announce on behalf moments. A CFO sent a photo of their notice board. No surprise gift announcements. I smiled. Norms were shifting. My sister texted, I'm starting therapy. I replied, good. When you're ready to talk off mic, I'm here. Dots, then gone. I don't expect reunion now. I expect right process. That night, I framed a photo beside the protocol, the earring glittering on marble. The instant a slap became evidence and a pivot, I wrote beneath it, respect is a process, not a mood. The city kept pouring light. The Penthouse isn't just a prize. It's the server hosting new standards. No announcing for, no crowd taking, no filial by force. If family wants back on this network, they'll follow the protocol, like any serious system. If not, I have my chosen family. People who know love never stands on someone else's autonomy. A week later, dawn drew a bright line across the glass. Coffee in hand, I watched the street below settle back into its proper pace. Not fast from panic, not slow from regret, steady like a protocol recently updated. That evening at a corporate gala, the MC began. And now, a surprise gift? The coordinator slipped up to whisper, the mic lowered. In the screen's corner, a small caption appeared. No surprise gift announcements. No applause. Just shared looks, recognition, agreement, louder than clapping. A familiar trap had been quietly disarmed. In the foyer, a young intern stopped me. Miss Sophia, I saw the live stream. Last night, my family announced for me. I sent your boundary protocol, and I said no. I said good. Save evidence and find allies. Her eyes lit like she'd finally found the exit from a long, dark hallway. Back home, I set my earrings on a wooden tray. They no longer recalled the slap, they're exhibits of a role reversal. The mic from weapon to tool, the crowd from pressure to witness, law from distant fence to protective infrastructure. I added to the protocol, standardize what's right before what's wrong repeats. A short text from my father. Second therapy session done. I read the respect agreement each morning. I replied, keep going. My mother stayed loud online, quiet with me. I let consequences answer. Before bed, I taped a small card beside the frame. Mike, open only with consent. Kindness, must include voluntariness. Family, respect before demands. The city poured light. This place isn't just a home, it's a server for new norms. If anyone tries to drag me back to ATM daughter, my answer is ready. Short, clear, enough. No, I choose respect. 2 weeks later, I spoke at the Women in Governance Summit. From personal boundaries to organizational policy. I brought one slide, the boundary protocol. On the front row, several women CEOs nodded as I said, law is a wall, not a sword. Build the wall before you need a war. The organizers released recommendations. Ban announce on behalf gifts and activate protection channels at signs of familial coercion. The applause wasn't loud, but long and even. The kind of agreement a room reserves for real understanding. Our strategic partner updated event rules. No surprise announcements. A retail conglomerate signed a revised code of conduct, adding an anti-familial coercion clause under conflicts of interest. I didn't feel heroic. I saw infrastructure getting new bolts. At home, my father mailed a handwritten letter, slow, unadorned, with a marked-up copy of the respect agreement highlighting the clauses he once ignored. I didn't answer yet. Trust requires habit, not promises. My sister texted that therapy is teaching her the difference between being loved and being coddled. I wrote back, good. When you're ready to meet off mic, I'm here. No date, just principle. That night, city light as usual. I placed the earrings in the tray and added a line under the protocol. Standardize what's right. Repeat until it becomes reflex. Then I sent Boundary Literacy 101 to 2 universities that invited me to guest lecture. If I'm leaving a legacy, it's not the dramatic ballroom scene. It's a generation fluent in short, clear enough no's. Before lights out, I posted one more card. No announcing for, no crowd taking, no filial by force. If anyone tries to ghostwrite my life tomorrow, I already have the pen and the framework. Sunday morning, I set a small glass box by the door. Inside, a folded boundary protocol, the signed respect agreement, and the photo of the earrings on marble. I call it my peace first aid kit, not decor, a reminder that peace is a system, not a fluke. I cleared the closet of gifts with strings, things that used to guilt me into yes. On my desk, a strip of words. Giving equals voluntary. Love equals respecting boundaries. From now on, every invite, meeting, and ask runs one filter. Is there respect? If yes, I open the door. If not, I smile and say no. Short, clear, enough. At work, legal reported 11 internal cases where Clause 15.3 prevented family-labeled coercion. HR said Boundary Literacy 101 has a wait list. The ballroom story has moved beyond me. It's now operational across organizations. In the afternoon, I walked past the hotel. The lobby was bright, the roses fragrant, but no longer a crime scene, just a place people rent to celebrate. Narrative rights returned to their owner. A ping from my sister. I'm learning to ask permission instead of announcing for. I replied, good. When you're ready, we'll talk off mic. Night. Balcony open, the city breathing evenly. I lifted my tea and thought of women who wrote that they said no for the first time. No one clapped. They didn't need it. Lasting legacies run quietly, like current in the walls. Before sleep, I updated the final note beneath the frame. Peace isn't retreat, it's standing firm. Family isn't blood, it's a contract of respect. Mic opens only when both sides consent. If tomorrow someone invokes family to pick my lock, the answer won't change. No, I choose respect. I turned off the lights, and a new dawn, because of that, knew exactly where to go.